everyone. Thank you for that introduction. It's always so humbling and it makes me nervous all at the same time that um, that's my title. But thank you for having me today. Thank you for allowing me to be in your space. I hope this is a safe space where I can share my stories, give a little insight, and fire you guys up. But as you heard, my name is Haley Long, and I've kind of accidentally made football like my entire life. It is my whole life's work. Up until this age, I am actually 30 years old, and I've been playing football since I was about 4 years old. Um, so hopefully, I have some football fans in this room. If not, oh, I saw a hand. Thank you. I'll talk to you. But it's not going to just be about football. So hopefully, I can spark some inspiration. If you have any troubles along the way, I always thought that sports was a great teacher of life skills, building character, and yeah, hopefully we can find some of that along the way in my talk today. Um, yeah, it's an honor to stand before such a dynamic group of individuals. I was just talking to the guys backstage. I mean, I could not imagine being in school in this day and age. So props to you guys, but it's awesome that you guys now have platforms like TED Talks, and you can get a lot of insight from others who are willing to share their experiences with you guys. But yeah, I hope that whatever I say you can relate to from a business standpoint, a school standpoint, football, basketball, volleyball, art, theater, whatever your thing is. It's all about finding your passion, finding your joy, and ultimately finding your why. Um, so, yeah, this whole talk is about firing up, and I'm here to inspire you in one way or another on how to ignite that spark. And that it takes courage, it takes determination and resilience to light that spark within you. Um, I think it goes beyond just a motivational phrase, the phrase fire up. Uh, like they said, it's a call to action. And it's igniting our passions, finding our inner drive, and how can I rise above my life's challenges. Um, and in this world, it's easy to stay stagnant. I think with the technology, and we actually have so many resources that it can be quite overwhelming. So how do we not stay stagnant in this like fast-paced moving world? Um, and actually, I'm gonna, like I said, hopefully fire you up with one of the most powerful things in my life, and that's football. Um, for many of us, for me, most especially, football is way more than just a game. It is a symbol of teamwork, dedication, resilience. How many times can you literally fall and get back up? Um, and it's a space where you learn to be a team player. Um, it's not just a solo sport. And you learn that along the way. And my passion is definitely tested in football. Perseverance is definitely required, having played as long as I have. And honestly, transformation is inevitable, whether it is linear growth or not. You will transform, you will build your character, and you will become a new person at the end of the day. But moving forward, let's think about times where we have challenges, whether it's in school, at home, personal dreams. I'm sure we've all been there, right? I mean, it's like, what am I gonna wear in the morning, or what am I gonna do the next day? But yeah, if we choose, as you can see, I've been through my fair share of setbacks. When I was 16, I tore my ACL. when I was 24, 24-ish, I had another major surgery. I broke my femur. Um, and yeah, when I first had tore my ACL, I was 16. It felt like I was at the peak of my career. I feel like 16 is the prime age. Um, you're learning about yourself, you're coming into your age, and while all of my teammates were choosing their universities, where do they want to play, growing up, I was learning to walk again. And at this point in time, I had solely defined myself as an athlete. So having the physical incapability of even being able to walk, I had no idea who I was. I was going through some sort of crisis. I was like, felt like my life was over, felt like my career was over because my whole world was football. And I really did not know what to do. And like I said, I've had surgeries, I've had my fair share of injuries, but to this day, that was one of the most like painful things I've ever gone through in my life. Um, but I had to remind myself those 7 months of like in my mind back then it was absolute torture. But I had to remind myself of my why and what I wanted. Um, and the throughout those 7 months, the mental hurdles that it came with felt even bigger than all the physical ones. Like you can see, I couldn't walk. You're on crutches. I'm sure if you see people with these huge leg braces, it can feel very defeating, and a lot of people want to feel bad for you on top of how you already feel for yourself. So in that 7 months, it's yes, a physical, obviously a physical battle, but it's also a mental battle. It's every day reminding yourself why you're doing it, what am I doing this for, and I ultimately wanted to play in a university. I wanted to get a scholarship. I wanted to help my mom pay for my education, and um, thankfully she let me play football like my whole life, and it was my way of sort of paying her back. And I had this injury. I was like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to afford my school? Like, what am I going to do? And that's what I thought every single day when I woke up. But I had to remember my why. I wanted to go to school. I wanted to be a part of something bigger than myself. I was always a big um, team player, I would say. But in that moment, I felt so alone, and that's where mental toughness really came into play. And um, it wasn't about like how hard I had fallen. It was about how I chose to wake up and start my day every day. How many times I stood up every single day in therapy felt very defeating, and if my therapist is getting mad at me for not doing stuff right, but I had to put a brave face on and just keep doing it every single day. Um, but I mean, mental toughness helps you like be a leader in your own way, take charge of your life. And in that moment of being 16, that's what I had to do. I had already come so far, so why would I stop? Um, but yet, after 7 months, I'm back on the pitch. I mean, another setback can come your way. You could fail a class, you could not get a job opportunity, and or a pandemic can come your way and just put everything to a halt. Um, but that's what makes the journey so special is like all the hills and valleys, and it's not so linear. It's not always like positive trajectory. It's about the journey, your mentality throughout the journey, and how you can fuel your own fire throughout your journey. And it's important that you don't just feed a fire all at one time, because it'll glow, it'll burn really big, but it also will go out very quickly. So I learned throughout, at least from an injury standpoint, throughout my career, that it's about how can I constantly fuel my fire to build that strong foundation. Um, but yeah, football taught me to overcome adversities. I mean, if you're trailing in the final minutes of the game or facing obstacles like injuries in your life, it is the determination and the resilience that are going to get you through it. Because in football, in basketball, volleyball, whatever your sport, um, the game doesn't stop. It doesn't get stopped when you get behind or when you're trailing. It keeps going, and therefore you should too. And I think that in moments like that is when you can really fire yourself up, and that is like a one-on-one battle you have with yourself. But in football, thankfully, it's a team sport, so you have teammates around you, you have coaches, and you have a bunch of staff, and you have your school hopefully making that such a safe space for you. And that's why it's so important. I love school sports because you do have such a great community supporting you, and spaces like this for people to come together and enjoy the things that they do. Um, but through my injuries, I was taught that I kind of just wanted to be um, the best individual person I could be without football. It was hard to think about football every day when I couldn't kick a ball, when I couldn't walk, when I couldn't run. So it really taught me that there is more life. There is more to me than football. And I think at 16, I was really thinking about what my next move was going to be. Um, and I would say going through my career, my most recent challenge would be our World Cup training. As you heard in the intro, the Filipinas, the national team, we qualified for the 2023 World Cup. And so for the entire year after we qualified 2021, 2022, we trained, we played, we traveled, we trained more. And the process just went over and over. And every time I would go to camp, I thought I was prepared. I thought I was ready for it. And every time I went into camp, I just had this feeling of not feeling good enough. And I don't know if it was like a coaching tactic, but I would go to training and be made an example of what not to do. And I'm supposed to be the captain of the team. And I felt like I had zero credibility to my name, that I was something that my teammates shouldn't, like what I was doing, they shouldn't be doing. And it was honestly traumatic to think that you are working so hard to be the best person on your team, to be the best leader you can be, and then get to training and then be told the exact opposite. And it was really hard. And even with a sports psych, it was still, thankfully we had one for a short while, but it was still so tough. I mean, it was so much shame and guilt that I didn't know was going to come with the process. And football has always been my safe space. So I remember telling my teammates sometimes, I was like, this is the first time I don't want to go to training. I don't want to show my face. And it was so uncomfortable for me. But through all of that, I had to remember my why. I wanted to be a part of something bigger than myself. And this was it. This was playing for the national team since 2016. That journey, I didn't know I could love football in that kind of way. I didn't know I could love playing for the Philippines in that kind of way. And it's a huge honor, but also I found it as like a huge responsibility throughout my career to represent, to do the right thing, to be a good person. And all of those things kind of have nothing to do with football, but more of like who I was as a person. And football was just my path to do that. So playing for the national team was like the ultimate thing I could and I can thankfully still do, but having that months of just not wanting to show up, not wanting to show up for the country felt so wrong of me to have that sort of shame and guilt. But then I have to remember my why. This isn't about me. It's about the country. It's about showing up, and it's about, yes, supporting my teammates because we're all there to play. We're all there to represent. We're all there to sing our anthem. And it was really a moment where I felt like my back was completely up against the wall. But if I remembered my why, if I remembered my purpose, that I am just a tool in this, then those problems eventually felt like they were melting away, and I felt like I could play again. And yeah, that was a different type of resilience I had. That wasn't an injury. At some points, it hurt my heart more than the injury I had. But and that kind of feeling kind of sits with you still. Like I still have moments of doubt. I still have moments of fear. But the amount of joy we brought with football, I realized it was so much bigger than that. Football was like we transcended the game by making it to the World Cup, and football became my beacon in darkness, and kind of like a light through the pandemic when we qualified. But football is also about teamwork, and when you fire up, you don't fire up alone. You're doing it alongside others, alongside your teammates, alongside your coaches. And it's exactly like life. It's not a solo venture. You have your friends, you have your family, you have your workmates, your teachers, your coaches, your family, your cousin. You have everyone with you. But you have people by your side, and together you can accomplish things far greater than any individual could on their own. And that's why I love being on a team sport. That's why I love talking and sharing my life's work, because I couldn't go through this life solo. I couldn't not be on a team. And when I'm done playing football, when I'm in the workforce, I'll treat it like I am on a team. But this is where the true power of Fire Up lies, to not do it as an individual. It's about finding your spark and sharing it, just like you guys are giving me the platform to share my spark. And it's about lighting the way, not just for yourself, but for the others around you. And how can you be a beacon, and how can you transcend your game? And how can you work to get a common goal with your team, whatever it is, business, school, football team, basketball team. If you can create that fire and you can combine it with those around you, it can be absolutely unstoppable. So how do you find your fire? And I know the fire analogies you're gonna hear a lot throughout the day. So I'm just gonna get all of mine out now because I'm first. But it starts with recognizing your passion. What are you passionate about? Video games, writing, art, like what are you actually passionate about? What do you care about? Love for animals. That passion, that spark, that is what fuels your fire. And it may be surprising, but football is not my fire. It was once everything to me, and I thought my whole life, my whole life does still revolve around football, but it became my purpose in life. And throughout my journey and all the obstacles, I found my bigger purpose. My passion is to grow the sport of football and to grow it here in the Philippines. And it's to show that it's more than just a sport, but it's an avenue for people to learn how to become a team player. Not let setbacks define you, build character, and to learn values that uphold my life every single day and build my strong foundation. Finding your fire doesn't mean it's always going to be easy. You'll always have setbacks, you'll get knocked down, but just remember, if I could leave anything with you today, it's the fire that burns the brightest is the one that has been tested. So anytime you feel like you're being tested or you feel like your flame is running low, you have people around you. You do have the power to ignite your own fire, and it is your why. And if you remember at the end of the day, your why, your passion, your purpose, your flame will never go out, and you will always be there for others who may feel like their flame is running low. The more you go through, the stronger you become, and life is always going to throw obstacles your way. I mean, we're all here. We all survived a pandemic, and that felt nearly impossible, but we're all still here, living our lives again. But it's moments like this, the setbacks you have, it's moments like this that really define who you are. And football won't be in my everyday life, but the fire and passion that I have for growth will always be in my everyday life. It will remain constant, and that is something that football taught me. So it's important to reach out to others, surround yourself with those who will help you stay motivated, who will help you stay inspired and not let you forget your why. So seek out those teammates in life and mentors that will help light your way. And it's not about, like I said, how strong your fire can burn, but can you consistently feed your fire and have that light throughout your path. But I'm here to tell you that you do have the power to transform, and you can push through adversity and to ignite that fire within you. No matter where you are in life, you can always find a way to fire up the ones around you. Find that spark, inspire change, creativity, and build resilience. And if we can all put our fire together, there's nothing we can't accomplish. So today, my challenge for you is to fire up, ignite your passion, reignite your drive, and let your fire light the world. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your